minute
Okay, sure, sure, no problem.
introduce you, and
Sure.
I'll pass it on to you in a minute. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to one more webinar of Tech Savvy and TMLP, TM Mumbai License Plumbers Association. Today's webinar, as you can see on your screens right now, is about water conservation through automation, and it is being done by Lahiri Walls. Our speaker today is Adnan Lahiri. Just to introduce him in a few words, Mr. Adnan Abbas Lahiri was born and raised in Chennai and holds a graduate degree of commerce from Loyola College, Chennai. He has also been a former marathon runner and national racing driver for Volkswagen and MRF. So, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know this. He is an active CrossFit athlete and enthusiast. Mr. Adnan joined Lahiri Walls in 2010 as an additional director and spent the next. Can I request people to please keep their microphones on mute? Of course, I can do that. So, he officially started working as a full-time director in 2013. During the period of 2013 to 2015, he was majorly involved in taking care of the finances of the company. In April 2015, he decided to move his base to our very own Mumbai and took up the challenge of boosting the sales of Practical branch. With his valuable additions, there has been a significant increase in the same over the years, and currently he heads the Mumbai branch for Lahiri Walls and caters to the western part of the country as their director marketing. So before we start, as usual, I'll request everybody to keep their microphones on mute. And at the end of the session, when we have the question and answers, please feel free to click on raise your hand option and ask questions. Or as usual, please turn on your camera in case you are not able to turn on your, if you're not able to use the raise my hand option. And we will go person by person. So over to you, Adnan. It's all your session. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you and good evening to one and all. Uh, I would like to welcome you again. So generally, whenever we do a webinar, we call it a knowledge sharing session. So welcome to another knowledge sharing session by Larry Valves. And obviously, thank you to the entire BMLPA group to allow us to do this presentation, and also the entire Tech Savvy group. So, I mean, Chintan sir, thank you very much for that elaborate introduction. However, I'll just give a small whatever you missed out on. So basically, as sir told you that I currently work out from Mumbai, I would like to introduce my company once, and then I'll start over with the presentation. So, Lahiri Valves is a manufacturing company that has been a part of the industry for over 7 decades. We are a manufacturer and a solution provider of mechanical valves and automated utility systems for MEP services in the infrastructure or the industrial or any water service field. Lahiri has its presence pan India and is almost in every metropolitan city. Our international offices are located in Sri Lanka, in the Middle East, in Qatar, and in Dubai, in USA. And we also strongly support and believe the Make in India concept and have established two factories in India. One is located. We are the only Indian manufacturer to hold FMUL and NSF approvals for the widest range of valves. We are a company that took the first leap in setting up a fully automated AI experience center in Asia, so as to bring the visual witness of working valves from behind the wall right in front of it. We run multiple CSR campaigns because we believe in sharing and imparting knowledge. Currently, I'm speaking from our experience center. So I think this is the first time I'm presenting from here. However, so I will also some products are there that I will show you in live demonstration itself. So it will be super interesting. As today's topic is that water conservation through automation. So which brings us to today's topic. So it is now the need of the hour for us to collectively come up with a range of strategies that work in both short term and long term in assisting us to mitigate the various threats and challenges of water scarcity and water management. And I firmly believe demand management will play that critical and central role in this very adaptation. And predominantly, we play that critical role in saving water. So basically, uh, we need to make sure that we try to save as much as water we can today, so that our future generations can at least, I mean, have some water for themselves. We also need to like work on things where we can regenerate our own water instead of relying on other natural resources. Uh, Coming to the point where and yeah, so which means the water metering system will provide that means of for utilities and consumers to be able to better quantify demand. This is the very awareness which is the first step we need to take towards treating water as a precious, fast depleting resource and not a merely free commodity. And this model has worked for almost every OECD country. Let's briefly discuss on the current demand versus the supply situation, the blind spots in water wastage, and solutions to tackle these problems. Water scarcity is an increasingly global concern, with approximately 500 million people living in countries where usable water supply is insufficient to support the local population. Let's take an example of one of our very own cities, Bangalore. A study in 2018 revealed that by 2020, Bangalore would run out of groundwater, and uh, yet this news didn't waken the masses. Low efforts were taken towards water management, whose source resulted in whose score resulted in only 56% efficiency as calculated by Composite Water Management Index. Looking at the stats gathered from the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Board, an average person consumes roughly about 150 liters of water per day. This stat varies widely, but the data assumed here is not skewed. So the supply average of water from the municipal corporation to a household averages to about 65 liters a day. This is again the average per day supply. Although the supply could spread over a month with scattered supply days, looking at this very small number, what does this actually imply? 65 liters of water is equal to 10 flushes, and this is very scary statistic, especially when you consider two things. One, general population is not aware, not water aware, and second is demand, like humans need, is multiplying at an alarming rate, and that is the fact. So at the beginning of the presentation, I said something like about the blind spots in water wastage. Let's explain when it comes to consumption. There is active consumption and there is passive consumption. The latter is what I would like to focus upon on today, or the passive consumption. Passive wastage is what I refer to when water is being consumed or wasted without the user realizing it. As bizarre as it might sound, it will perhaps make sense with a quick example. Pressure. What supply pressure plays a vital role here. When two people get their water at their point of use at two different pressures, the amount of water consumed varies. Let's take a simple activity of washing your hands. The person who gets water at a higher pressure or even a zero point 0.5 differential pressure than the other person, he would passively consume an approximate of 6 liters of water extra, meaning 6 liters of water is being wasted. Quite a lot for a simple activity of washing hands. This is the very activities that we frequently do right now, and also has increased from 8.6 times a day to 14.19 times a day because of the pandemic. So this is just one person using one tap. Expand this to a consumption grounds of an entire country, or now see how much water is passively being wasted. Water pressure is not even being seen as an issue or a factor that could lead to water wastage. Well, it very much is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem number one of point one of my slide. Adding to this, there is wastage from overflowing of tanks due to manual operation. People wait to hear and see the tank overflowing, and that's when they respond. And I don't need the stats or numbers to argue as to why this is a bad idea, but this issue is prevailing in and widespread among many households. I mean, most of you, if you don't have an automated system, you must like this. The impact or magnitude of this is either not clear to the population, or people just turn a blind eye to this. Every drop counts, maybe a phrase that has a lot in its meaning, because it has been worn out for by a constant use over the years. But this very cliche could uh, could as easily be humanity's battle and cry soon enough. Our next problem is not so much as the unavailability of water monitoring systems, but rather the willingness to invest in one so much so that people would go without its implementation, despite the advantage of its of it brings it to the table merely due to the implementation. The next challenge really comes down to how data is presented to the customer and the education provided to them on how such systems would help them. Now, I don't completely blame the common man for this indifference towards this, as there is an effect in its feedback in reducing water consumption, and as a result there is a number of gaps in knowledge base. But this opens up several avenues for future research, which is precisely what we have done. So this is something which is a water metering system. This is what we do. This is one of our automative systems which helps in saving water. So this is one of the fixes that could help us reduce water conservation drastically. The fix. We call this the fix. If anyone has a wild guess what water management systems are, we at Lahiri Valves conducted an experiment to directly correlate the effectiveness of water metering with respect to water conservation over a period of 3 years across multiple projects in Chennai. And the results were indeed astonishing. We used a smart water meter that were Wi-Fi enabled and required virtually no wiring. We installed them. Basically, we did a retrofit. We installed them in existing apartments where there were already issues. We install them in every inlet going into an apartment, monitoring the data remotely with transmission frequency occurring every 2 minutes, so as to give an in-depth analytics on water conservation, consumption, and patterns of the consumption behavior. With no hidden factors involved, we notice on an average of 30% dip in consumption merely 10 months into the implementation of this system. Without a doubt, I can say using a metered system is the best practical move or way to start saving water. Because I understand that if something is given for free, people don't consider it as something which is important. But when somebody is charged for it, they take it seriously because they have to pay from their pocket. So coming to my point again, so I can say using a meter system is the best practical way to move thinking of water being a free commodity to a consciously used resource. To a consciously used resource. The kind of response was recorded not just within this city, but every country under the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is OECD countries, who implemented a water management solution, fetched mind-blowing positive results in rather short span of time. To consider examples, let's talk about France and Germany. What France and Germany did. Steps were taken by them to install water meters in every household. Even single family home covering a staggered of 90% by occupied homes nationwide. So basically 90% of their entire household was metered water. What was the observation? In a period of just 12 months, they observed a total reduction of water consumption by 10% nationwide. And so, when speaking in terms of millions of liters of water, 10% saving is phenomenally high. This brings me to the first point on this subject: change in trends. The need for water metering really does have to change. So far, a need has to be created only when there is a conflict in billing or dispute between owners in an association. A gated community there has approached us because they know that they have to pay for the water that they consume. There has not really been an awareness to people outside this field. Even builders, even build the builders market the availability of this system in their projects as an add-on system to their smart building systems, but don't really educate the people as to why it is really being used or put there. I understand that this is a business for profit, but if there is no water, there is no life. There perhaps has to be a change in the consumption pattern across households, businesses, and agriculture in response to metering. There has to be an increase in management autonomy for water utility, or a large scale builder and a government, and governments have to move from being a mere provider towards being a regulator of water service. Although the trend is more likely to be accompanied by an increase in the private sector, it is still a start, as the vast geography of the country would make it hard for a nationwide metering system. So I'm just going to go and switch. I'm just going to go closer to the water meter, and I'm just going to show you how a water meter works. And I'm just going to show you an AMR, which basically collects the data, and we can automatically see it on our BMS. So here at our experience center, we have an HMI display, which displays the amount of water that has gone through the meter. Sanjay, can I just, could you just share your, can everybody see Sanjay's video?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Not yet. Yeah, on that day, right? Now? Okay. Sure. So we can also show the BMS software on the screen. So we're just arranging that. You want me to open the second line or the first line? We'll open the second line, no? Because you're going to show it in the monitor. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see Sanjay's camera now?
No, we
Yeah.
still
Can
can't.
everybody see
You
camera?
can?
Yeah, see.
Okay. So this is our smart control panel. So on this smart control panel, you can see that the entire setup of our experience studio is in a pictorial format.
Adnan, we can see only your camera is projecting. We can't see what you are showing.
Is it? Okay.
We cannot see the camera what you are showing. We can only see your.
Can you now?
Now, yeah. Now I think yeah. Now we can see.
Yeah, it's getting closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see this HMI display.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is basically the pictorial format of the entire experience studio. So from pumps to meters to all the automated products. So we have two meters here. One is both are connected to two different devices. So one of the device is connected to an AMR, and one of the devices connected to a remote totalizer, which is basically like it's like a digital odometer, which you can see how many liters or how many kiloliters has passed through this pipeline. So can you see the two meters on the screen?
Yeah.
So at the
Yeah,
top,
we can.
the top meter is connected to a digital display on top, and the second water meter is connected to an AMR. So this is the AMR. So this is still the prototype. The finished product is more like a very robust and compact system, which we all will see in future. And so how the data works, how this reading happens is basically it's connected through a pulse wire. So this pulse wire collects the data from the meter, and then it transfers the data here. It transfers the data here, and once the data is here, you can see it on the dashboard. Can you see the screen? Is the TV screen here? Okay. So basically, you can. So these are the number of devices that we have on our app right now. And can you just show a live reading? Okay, so this is one of the meters, and we are getting a live reading that today's consumption at 4:30 p.m. last was about up to 4:30 p.m. was about 1,810 liters. And basically, we have a graph and all of that, so that you can check what is your consumption and which. So, if it's a household, every house has a particular. I mean, every house will have like multiple inlets. So every inlet will have like a water meter installed onto its inlet. So you can on the app you can see which room, which bathroom, which kitchen has consumed how much water, and at the end of the month you can also get a cumulative data as just a data, or you can also get a bill if you want to bill your client on how much water they have consumed. This we do for companies like Mahindra World City, where they have like an entire parcel of land in which they give the land to multiple stakeholders like IT parks, residential apartments, factories. So the entire facility is managed by Mahindra, and they supply water to each and every client of theirs. So they have used our water metering system in Chennai in MM Nagar, Marai Nagar, and this is one of the this is how the basically the app looks.
Adnan,
This is
sorry
the
to interrupt you
Yes.
here. The video quality
Yeah.
is very poor somehow. So, we're not able to see it very clearly.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe some data connectivity issue at your end. If that can be improved, I don't know.
Uh, 1 minute. Is it okay now?
No.
A little bit, but I think the video quality is at probably 360, not even 720. So the
Okay.
pixels are breaking a lot.
Okay.
I think never mind.
I get
Let's go
it.
ahead with it.
Yeah. So basically the understanding of this is we have an with our metering system. We just don't give a meter, and I mean, our job doesn't end with that. We give an entire end-to-end solution where you can install the meter. We also do the installation for the meters. We take the entire project on us, and we basically will take the entire data of how much water you're consuming, and we will give it to you via an app or a desktop version of the app. So this is our water metering system. And if you have any doubts, anybody has any doubts, you can just write it in the chat column so that we can answer them in the after the session is over. I'm just going to go back. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to go back into my presentation. Um, because we have another product also which is under this automation. Yeah. So when you think about tank automation, there are multiple solutions available. The only predominant system many people have integrated used to have a to what it was running through a long wire. Basically, what people generally are using is a long wire that is connected from your pump all the way to your overhead tank, and that senses the level of the water in the tank, and the pump switches off and switches on. But now, as we are growing and we live in bigger communities and larger communities and in townships, the number of underground tanks, uh, also builders I have seen in the Bombay market itself, that builders have stopped building multiple UG tanks. They build one huge underground tank where all the water is collected and is supplied through the entire property. So when a system like that is required, there's a lot of wiring that has to be done. And does not so I will just show you that also. That also is there in our system. So can you just hold this, Sanjay, for me? Thank you. So I'm going to show you a live demo in which I'm going to switch on the pump in auto. Okay. I'm just going to stop presenting for now. Hello?
Yeah, none. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to stop presenting and I'm just going to show you this. Can you see my screen? I mean, can you see my video?
Video feed. Yes, we can see the video feed. We see one red, yellow or green and
Yeah.
blue light and an LCD. Yeah,
This is
there.
the HMI display again.
Right.
Okay. And you see both the pumps are running right now. You see both the pumps are running right now. And as we see here, the pump is getting filled. The tank is getting filled. So as we see here, this is our water tank, and this is getting filled. This is a solenoid valve. You see this. This is a solenoid valve with a drain connection, and this is where the entire pipeline is. These are our pumps. So right now, the entire system is on auto. And the sensor here we have used is an ultrasonic sensor. So as the level reaches 90%, automatically the valve will switch off. And right now we are at 80, 82, 83, 85, 87, 89, 90. And see, suddenly we see the entire, the valve has shut off. And now we'll also see the pump automatically switching off. So because our pump is a VFD pump and it has a pressure sensor in the line, it automatically shuts off the pump. So what you see, what we saw there is our intelligent pump control panel. So we can integrate that with a pressure switch or a pressure transmitter, depending on the requirement of the client or the requirement of the particular project. So these are the two products that we endorse to save water, because water is a real commodity that is even going to be more expensive than oil in the near future. And I think if we take a responsible step in conserving water and using these kind of technologies to conserve water and make it more seamless, it would just be better for our future. Coming back to my presentation, we have various customizability which is possible with these products. Uh, but on the whole, we would just like to say that we are a one-stop solution for your entire water conserving system, be it a water metering system or an overhead tank controlling system or a pumping system. So also, if you see the products also are engineered and designed in such a way where we are also making a few systems systems of ours with over a tank controlling system that work on solar. So we are also moving towards a more sustainable way of functionality itself of our valves. We will not need electricity anymore in future to operate our valves. So those are some prototypes that we are working on. Coming back to the topic, why water management? In conclusion, a water management system is the way to go. They hold multiple benefits to as displayed on screen, and most importantly, they are able to provide an in-depth data both utility teams and the consumers itself. There have been many studies conducted that prove human consumption behavior does indeed change with the proper representation of data and proper means of education. With this, I conclude my presentation and thank you all very much for your attention. If you guys have any questions, please put them on the chat, or you can obviously unmute yourself and also talk if that is allowed on this platform. I'm not sure, but yes, let's save some water. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adnan. This was indeed wonderful. The way you shared the live experience of the center, the experience center that you have. And I only wish that the camera could have been, the video quality could have been a lot better. So it would have been more of an HD experience for us to get a clearer picture.
Yes.
But then, yeah, I believe most of it could be understood. And I have questions already popping up. There's Mr. Deepak Daya, who has already turned on his camera and asking a question. So yes, go ahead.
Adnan, I don't have any questions, but I would suggest that you take a professional video of this and share it in the group. Hello, Adnan, can you hear me?
I think Adnan is facing connectivity issues.
Your I think cracking for me. Is your phone okay? I wasn't able to hear you, sir. So my colleague just told me, yes, sir. Actually, I am in Chennai, and since 3 days we've been working on that only. So we've just been working on making a video for our YouTube channel. So yes, that is in process, sir. We will do that, and soon it will come out.
Wonderful. Any other question, Doctor?
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question by Mr. Devendra Shete of Aries Industries. Yeah, Mr. Devendra, please ask your question.
Thank you, Chintan. Adnan, it was a very nice presentation. Only thing is, were you sharing any slides? Because you were mentioning your presentation, but I was not able to see the slide. Were the slides being shown?
Yeah, there were actually slides shown. I believe if you're using on a cell phone, possibly you needed to shuffle between the pages and you could not see that. But I believe it has been
share
recorded.
it on the group. Yeah, I would. Yeah, if you can share it. And I had a question.
I'll share the PPT on the group.
No problem. And one more thing is, you mentioned about solar power being used. So could you just throw some light on that?
So basically, what it's a prototype. We've not yet come out with the finished product. So me and my team in Bombay were working on a very small solar panel that energizes a battery that sits inside our control panel and uses that electricity to switch on the particular valve. So basically, our valve works in a very short span of time. So when we do projects and we set up the entire OHT system or tank controlling system for any project, we set two levels. We set a level at about 50% and we set a level of about 90%. So 50% is when the valve opens and 90% is when the valve closes. So it's basically 40% of the tank capacity. So only that particular time, the valve has to be energized. So we are still working on the analytics and the power that is required to keep the valve on for that particular period, because we also need a battery pack that depletes at a slower rate so that it can work for a longer period of time. because solar energy we can get, but now if that day is not a sunny day, then if the valve doesn't open, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, we are still working on a lot of we're working on the prototype. So once the product is out, we will share it with everyone.
Yeah, yeah. My suggestion would be it's better if you have both the systems AC, because one point is that
A
because
hybrid
of solar
system.
radiation, yeah, hybrid system, because battery needs maintenance and replacement. So even that has to be considered.
Yeah, but we are planning to use a fully sustainable product, sir. So we are aiming for something like which is really futuristic, and let's hope. We get to it. Let's hope we get to it.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Anand.
Right. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank
That
you.
was actually a very interesting question. Do we have anything else? Any other questions, please?
Is this for overtime control system?
May I request?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your voice is cracking up, sir. Could you please introduce yourself and what is your question, please?
Go ahead. Okay. Sorry, I see issue. Go ahead.
We're not able to hear you. Your voice is cracking up. Could you turn off your camera so that you get better bandwidth? At least your audio comes through properly.
Hey, buddy, the pump is switching on again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Regarding C. Raja from Nagriwal, my colleague has given this presentation. Regarding this overtime control system for solar point of view, solar control without any power supply. That option actually is able to do based on the operation timing. So how many hours it's required to fill, or based on that is already there. If you required, if you have immediate requirement, so that we can give you the solution for that also.
Okay, so that's adding to
Thank you, Raja sir. Thank you, Raja sir. He's my technical director, and he has more in-depth knowledge about what is the progress of our products. So that's why I think he.
Yeah, we saw him during your last presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Raja. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. Do we have any questions coming up? Any further questions? So there's something I'd like to ask Adnan. When I did my World Plumbing Council scholarship in Singapore. I was there for about 1.5 months studying in depth about every aspect of plumbing there. And the agency that provides water throughout Singapore is PUB, known as the Public Utilities Board. And what they are doing is the most of the wastage that happens in a city is during the supply of water. The main lines and all those, whenever they leak, not only precious water is lost, also contamination happens, which causes a lot of damage to the public health. So what they are trying to do is they've tied up with MIT, US, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and they've put in certain types of probes in their piping lines that monitor the pressure, the discharge, the pH levels and everything of those kinds. So is there something like that also available with us here today? Because I had done this way back in 2012 and it's 2020 already.
There are products in the industry, but we are not. We are not dealing with something like that, or we're not working on something like that. But maybe, if it's a demand, we might invest in R&D in finding out what we can do on those lines also. We can work on that. We can get after this, we can get on a call or something, and we can understand more on this technology. And if we will also like to enhance our knowledge on those grounds, so it'll be great. Yes.
Right.
But
So
currently nothing we have. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was basically because when you said that at government level also, there should be the onus also should lie. Of course, it is of the people. It's a people responsibility, but this is at a larger level. When we are looking at it, it becomes something to worry about. So yeah, I'll definitely share my report with you on that. We have a next question from Mr. Deepak Daya. Yes, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
I cannot hear you, sir. Yeah, you need to unmute it.
Yeah. Adnan, when we talk about saving water, the biggest issue here in Mumbai
I
is
cannot
we
hear you.
have old buildings, right? Where there are a lot of GI pipes and other pipes. And
Yeah.
do you have any device which can detect the leakage inside the wall, especially in concealed fitting? See, right now I'm facing a problem with one of the high-rise building in Mumbai, where we had done hydromatic system, and our total ring main was in the ground under the paving. And I don't know by what, it seems that it is broken. But now to open it, we'll have to excavate the whole building all around. So do you have any equipment which has an ultrasound or some ultrasonic sound or whatever? Any equipment which can detect the leakages?
Generally, on our app, we have a alert that there is a leakage, but that is on the data that is collected over a period of about 6 months of that particular household. According to the consumption of that household, if the consumption exceeds more than 20% or 30%, automatically that user gets an alert that he has used, or he has used extra water, or there is a leakage in his particular pipeline, or maybe one of his taps was left open and he's traveling somewhere. He or she is traveling somewhere. So that kind of an alert we have, but not alert that is that is not an alert that comes from a mechanical or a product as such. That's basically the alert that we get from the data that is collected from that particular pipeline. So on the whole, if you're talking about main razors, we don't have any product detect the leak of that particular line as such. But for a house, we can do that.
Which can identify exact spot of the leakage. Like Bombay Municipal Corporation initially had some rods. They used to put it on the road and keep their ear on the rod. They could, make out that leakage is in this area. It was meant for iron pipes.
Okay.
Now, since we are using a lot of plastic pipes, this transfer of sound doesn't happen that loud. So that's what my question was. You don't have, right? That kind of.
As Chintan sir said, we could work out on something like that. I mean, we can do an R&D, and we can talk to our R&D team. And I think Raja sir also has something to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, Raja sir, I interrupted you.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, as of now, actually, with the water metering system, since we are putting in each house that entering into a house, entering into a bathroom, so the traveling distance after that water meter will be very less, maybe by 3 meters, 4 meter maximum. So within that area, if there is any leakage, automatically the meters can detect that low flow also, and triggered in our software. That is, in case of continuous consumption of certain flow rate, we can able to detect and calculate that, and we can give us alert that is the leakage is there in the pipeline. So it can be it can be limited to the particular area. So one bathroom, this bathroom has the leakage, so that is easy to rectify also. That's how we can work out the leakage alert.
Exact spot. It cannot give you exact spot, right? Like exact a particular spot, elbow is leaking, or some in underground, especially underground, where you have longer distance, maybe 100 or 200, 100 or 200 meters of loop. We don't have that, right?
Not right now. We don't have.
No. So not currently.
Okay,
no,
okay.
We don't.
Fine. I'm done.
Okay.
Chintan. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you saying something, Adnan?
No, any other questions? Or?
I don't think. Are there any further questions? I see some of my students have also joined in today, so that's something good. Does anybody have any question here? I don't think there are any further questions, so we'll wrap up the question and answer session for now.
I
But
just
today,
had one thing to say before we close.
sure.
During the lockdown, I was doing a lot of research on things that India requires, and I mean, as a country, we really need to be ahead of this. So basically, I mean, if you've been to Singapore, you know there's this company called New Water.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Desalination.
I mean, our country
Also,
requires something. I mean, it's not a desalination
no. New water
plant as
is new
such.
water is the recycling. Yeah. Sorry.
Recycling.
That's
So I also did a lot of research on desalination also, and I think Chennai itself has a plant in. I mean,
yes.
we at Chennai itself have a desalination plant. But I mean, desalination plant is something that we could use when we are totally out of water and we have zero water. That's something that we could use, and the conversion of salt water to fresh water is very low there. But our wastewater,
Right.
what New Water does, that's a very good thing that I think we as an association, or we as as responsible people in the plumbing industry should take this up, and we should approach government bodies to start something on these lines,
Right.
because water is going to be whichever country has more water is going to be the richest country.
Absolutely.
So
When
we
you
should
when you talk about, when you talk
concentrate
about
on something like that.
when you talked about New Water, I remember I visited their experience center in Singapore, and incidentally, they gave me a box of their bottled water. You know, they even brand it as a bottled water of New Water. And after my research was completed, my family visited me for about a week, and one of my twin daughters, she was very finicky about water. She was quite young then, and she would not, I brought her all the different brands of bottled water, and she would not like it. And incidentally, New Water was the brand that she actually liked, and she would consume that. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of psychological effects on people knowing that it's a recycled water and they have difficulty digesting it, pun intended. But yeah, that's a very good solution what you pointed out.
Yeah.
So
We at Larry are really inclined towards that. So I mean, if we all can come together and do something like that, we are really like interested in doing something like that. Yeah.
So in one of the series of webinars that we are holding for TechSavvy and BMLP, we will soon be having a webinar also on water recycling. So keep your fingers
Yeah.
crossed and look forward to it.
Sure.
So
And
before we end this session today, in our attendees, we also have Mr. Prakash Patil, who is the president of Brihan Mumbai Licensed Plumbers Association. Prakash sir, I would request that you offer some words about this webinar. What did you think about it, and what is the way forward? It would be really great, Prakash sir, if you could, offer a few words here.
First of all, thanks for the knowledge section, Deepak and Chintan. But in Mumbai, we have a common connection. We don't have individual connections. That is there. So in Bangalore, it's okay, but in Mumbai itself, we have a common connection to the old building, complete building. And that is not working here actually. But this knowledge was very good and we can accept it as fine. Thanks for making this a success. Thank you.
yeah.
That's it.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, sir.
I think if I am Abbas Larry, I think
Yeah.
in Mumbai we have done in Delas, right? In Lonavala. We have done this water
Lonavala.
system.
One of my accents.
That's right, Jimmy, for Jimmy Mistry, we have done the water metering for them. And it's very successful, and they are I think quite happy with it, and they also find again about 30 to 35% of water saving.
Wonderful. Right. Thank you, Mr. Prakash Patil, for your kind words. Before we end this session, I'll ask my dad, Mr. Deepak Daya, to please offer the vote of thanks. And of course, as I've been saying every time, that every video that is recorded in these webinars is available on YouTube in my channel. You can visit it anytime and see that. And please remember to log in again next Saturday. Over to you, Mr. Daya.
First of all, let me thank all the participants. Secondly, Abbas bhai, lot of thanks for giving us kids like Adnan and Hussein. And Adnan, it was really a knowledge imparting session. Finally, I don't know, but I thank Chintan also for taking pains on every Saturday. Actually, that's our weekend. We don't work on Saturdays. Last 7 to 8 Saturdays, he's continuously going to office because he's not getting right bandwidth. And you know, in our house it's a joint family, a lot of noises. So he goes to office. Still, he has 1 hour's work to upload it on YouTube. Thank you, Chintan, and thank you everybody.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I will see you all again next Saturday with one more wonderful webinar. Till then, everybody stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.